This is Money Moves on VSiN, the sports betting network.
Here on this Monday edition of Money Moves, Stormy, Buonantony, Jonathan Von Tobel with you. We're live as always from downtown Las Vegas, Circa Resort and Casino. The news of the day in the NFL, of course, that Deshaun Watson has been named QB1 for the Cleveland Browns. We'll give a little bit more reaction to that coming up in a bit. Also, news in the last 20 minutes or so, the Patriots are sending Kayshon Boutte over to the Houston Texans for safety Jalen Reed and a draft pick. Lots of NFL to get to, as we will this segment as well with our preview in the NFL training camp tour. But still coming up in about 15 minutes, Josh Nunn of Action Network is going to talk through all things week 0, college football, as well as some season-long bets he has in the sport. And it is another day of Major League Baseball as that season continues to roll on. No day games today, but plenty of, what? Why are you laughing? Plenty
Just
of,
the way you said it. That thing continues to roll on.
It just keeps happening. Well, I lost my bet, all my bets over the weekend, so it wasn't fun for me.
Baseball's a real sport that matters.
I don't like it.
Baseball is a sport that matters.
It's not for me. But like I said, we begin our NFL talk as we continue our long-distance travel across the country.
Join Stormy and JVT as they go on the Money Moves NFL training camp tour.
I say across the country, but we are getting closer to home now, making today's stop in Denver, talking all things Broncos, JVT's favorite team entering 2026.
Look, that's being a little overzealous, but let's do this here. So the Broncos, so the Broncos win total of 9.5 this season, coming off a 14-win year. As we look at some of the numbers for them this season, I think good things, we'll call it, are expected of them. Division wins at 3.5, but shaded to the under. Most wins 21-1, fewest 110. Favored to make the playoffs at -140. Second choice in the AFC West plus 225. AFC 10-1 or thereabouts, 20-1 for the Super Bowl. Bo Nix, 35-1 to win the MVP, and then Sean Payton, Coach of the Year, 100-1. I'll give you Sean Payton to win Coach of the Year. If they go undefeated, they could do it, but I just don't think that's going to happen. Again, it's just previous expectations. Generally, head coaches, when they win that award, blow away preseason expectations when they win it. So I don't think that Payton's going to do it. I think that's why that's 100-1. You could argue maybe it could be a little bit longer. So the reason why you're being sarcastic here, for anybody who has not joined us, is I am down I'm down on the Broncos in the context of which they're being priced in the betting market, because I do believe that if you had a team like Denver who came off this season that they had last, a lot of people would be more into them maybe taking a very sizable step back this season. A couple of years ago, the Kansas City Chiefs won every single one-score game that was in front of them and made it all the way to the Super Bowl. And what happened the next year? They fell back down to earth. Injuries were part of it, but still, those one-score games completely flipped, and they couldn't win a one-score game to save their lives. The Denver Broncos are in that similar context where you look at where they were, point differential standpoint. Stormy, Clev TA up on Twitter had a great breakdown of that in terms of where they were from a point differential standpoint of winning a 1 seed. You look at the one-score games that they won a season ago. I believe it's 11-2 by my mark.
Correct. In
one-score games. They had, and it's not even just one-score games, the comebacks that they had to have as well. The games which they were trailing in the fourth quarter to have to come back and win were astronomical as well throughout the regular season. These are all indicators of a team that was getting by the skin of their teeth. And there is going to be a course correction on that. Every single time we talk about these things, we know there's going to be a course correction. And I think that's going to be the case for this Denver Broncos team. I also think that it shouldn't be ignored. They were good in the playoffs again, but it shouldn't be ignored that coming out of the bye week, this defense took a really big step back. It was not as effective. I think they're going to be good. I don't think they're going to fall below average. But I just think that if any other team had all the indicators that this Broncos group has, then I think a lot of people would be like, yeah, this team's going to be down. But because we like Sean Payton, because we like Bo Nix, and I'm saying generally we, then I think that is ignored for the most part. And I think this Broncos team's a little bit more flawed than we are giving it credit for. And I do think a lot of that has to do with the offense as well.
Well, and I would say also I think the perception of the division, right? That you look at the odds board and you see the Kansas City Chiefs who missed the postseason last year. Oh, no, they're going to be back and win the division right now as division favorites at plus 160. All of the hype around Jim Harbaugh now in year 3 with Justin Herbert and what is this going to look like? And they're a relatively short shot in the division as well. That you see Denver at plus 225, and how can you not think that that's an attractive price on 3 teams that are probably like you could put on even playing floor, all things considered. That said, Denver has got to just be kicking themselves for not being able to do more in the postseason last year. And obviously Bo Nix's injury is at the center of that, but a 14-win regular season, as you mentioned, you win a monster divisional round game against Buffalo, and then you just fall apart in that clunker ultimately against the Patriots in the AFC title game that puts them in a position to be in the Super Bowl. Sean Payton and leadership has basically told us, without telling us the way they're investing in this team, that the window is now. You go out and you get Jalen Waddle for Bo Nix. Bo Nix, for all intents and purposes, appears to be healthy despite having to have the initial ankle surgery and the cleanup, revisionist surgery, whatever you want to call it, in April. He's talked a lot about his mobility and saying that he actually feels more mobile than ever because of the way that surgery has transpired. Bo Nix, though, is at the crux of your issues, I think. Yes, you talk about the regression and all of these other things that are just natural for a team that had the upside that they did in the one-score games. Yeah. But when all is said and done, you don't believe in Denver because of Bo Nix.
How many games did you think he threw for over 200 yards?
You already know the answer, so hit us.
Right, 11, right? Over 200 yards is what I'm saying, okay? You look at the multi-touchdown games, like, again, just 2 or more touchdown passes. He had 9 in the 18 that he played, or 19 that he played. I think that there's a clear limit here. 6.4 yards per pass attempt last year. That's not great. You look at some of the details of the victories they've had, as we've discussed a couple of times, but like Nix was an ineffective quarterback, and a lot of their game plan, I don't even think it was the game plan because I don't think he planned for this, but a lot of the way their story was told was, hey, look, the offense has stunk for 3.5 quarters, but our defense is so good. It's a 2-point game. Hey, Bo Nix, please just get us like somewhere in field goal distance, and we could get something out of this. And sure enough, it actually happened, and Peyton had to work his magic. But there was a lot of, like, that's, again, going back to the one-score games, you just can't constantly keep pulling the rabbit out of your hat. You have to be more effective as a passer. He's really good at protecting the football. Turnover-worthy play rate of under 3%. That's good. We know he's an athlete. He can add that to his overall repertoire. But I do think that he was pretty flawed as a quarterback last year, and I think that shouldn't be ignored. They were 10th. Let me double-check my note here really quickly. Hold on. I want to get this right. They were overall in expected points added per play on offense. This team finished 10th. But if you look at success rate, they were all the way down to 17th. So what does that tell you? That was a team that down to down was not successful. They were not getting the percentage of yards that you generally need on a given down to have an efficient offense, but they were overly reliant on explosive plays to get this offense to go. There's not something that is sustainable over the course of an entire season, and we saw that play that out, and I think we're going to, again, as you expand the sample size of your offense with Bo Nix at quarterback, you're probably going to see that play out again this year.
And so I know you love looking at a lot of the underlying stats, but even just some really standard ones for those of us that like just hit me with the simple numbers. His QBR at 58, 15th in the NFL. Completion percentage, 24th. Yards per attempt, 6.4, 28th. But then you have game-winning drives, 7, best in the National Football League. So the overall elements and the overall performance of what we've seen from Bo Nix, not great. But he's had the clutch moments. And so I wonder how much of that is actually tangible and is actually real versus, I don't want to say luck-based, but is the clutch factor something you can take into account in games?
So what is clutch factor?
I mean, Patrick Mahomes is one of those guys, right? When Patrick Mahomes gets the ball at the end of a game, you never feel comfortable. Do you feel that way with Bo Nix?
Stop.
You know how hard that was for me to say with a straight face to you, by the way?
You know what that was. Like, that's, no, you don't. That's ridiculous. Because again, when you watch some of these games, it wasn't like...
I tried to play that so straight.
But, like, when you watch the games, right, it's not even like you're like, hey, Bo, we're going, 7 plays, 95 yards, we're getting a tutty here. Like, no, it was like, Bo, brother, we need 33 yards to get us just past that green line that tells us we're in field goal range. Can you do it? And it's like, yeah, sure, we can eke that out.
On a more serious note, what do you think about Davis Webb at OC? New voice in his ear calling plays. Sure. The difference of what this offense might look like.
Yeah, I think there's probably a potential for that, too. And we should note, too, like to be somewhat positive, he was a really good thrower of the football downfield. He was one of the higher-graded quarterbacks on throws of 20 or more yards, 13 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, 12.1 yards per attempt. But, again, that goes back to what we talked about, right? You can't just rely on that the whole time. There's got to be some more efficiency on the other throws and the easier throws to make. And that doesn't really – that's not something that generally has worked for them, too. But, no, look, maybe a different play caller helps you out. But I do think that if you're being realistic and watching this, I think there's clear limitations for Bo Nix. So maybe he does get better. Maybe that is going to help. But I just don't think that's the case.
Defense, meanwhile, as you already mentioned, really good. Should be really good again. They were first in the league in yards per play allowed, third in points per game, second in completion percentage allowed. They were the best sack-getting unit in the entire league as well. When you look at some of the other things, obviously we focus primarily on division and kind of big picture what Denver can be. Where do you lean on the win total?
Under. Yeah, I mean, look, under 9.5 at minus 105 in our guide, and we'll have more. The NFL betting guide will have more best bets. That'll be part of that as part of an alternate win total play. For our draft that we had, I tried to play the alternate win total under because, again, just to the thought of when you play these win totals, whatever edge you feel like, generally you want to play those alternate unders. But I think that there's a lot of signs that would tell you that this team's going to be in that range of 8 wins. And by the way, if they win 8 games, it's not like they're an awful football team. Yeah. And I'm not saying for anybody who wants to freak out that they're going to win like 3. I just think that there's very clear indicators that this is a group that was closer to average. Even their Pythagorean wins, expected wins with their stat profile, it was an 11-win team last year that won 14 games. That tells you all you need to know. Check
out that first column of games if we want to throw the schedule on the screen. I'm curious what their record's going to be coming out of this. First 6 weeks, at Kansas City on Monday night, at home against the Jaguars, Sunday Night Football against the Rams, in San Francisco taking on the 49ers, in Los Angeles against the Chargers, and then a Thursday night game on a short week taking on the defending Super Bowl champion Seattle Seahawks.
Week 8 against the Chiefs, a division champ on the road. Week 9 going into the bye. I mean, will they have 1 win by the time they get to the bye week?
I hate you so much. You're the worst.
What do you
mean? He's making fun. For those of you that are just our audio audience, that Week 9 game is in Carolina taking on the Panthers. So he's just being him. But I will say those first 6 games, every single one of those teams, I mean, the Jags have the lowest win total among them at 8-5, and we're a 13-4 team. It is one of those things where it looks pretty tough early on. That's a team that I'm very high on as well. Do want to remind everybody that with the NFL season upon us, our NFL betting guide is out right now. We'll also have an NFL betting guide refresh that is coming soon once training camps conclude. If you're a VSiN Pro subscriber, you'll get all those guides for free. VSiN.com/subscribe is how you can come join us. You can sign up for as little as $9.99 right now or get 50% off our annual subscription. Again, when you head over to VSIN.com/subscribe. Stick around. Josh Nunn is going to join us coming up next, breaking down all things college football. You won't want to miss it.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
We welcome you back to Money Moves on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Stormy Buonantony, Jonathan Von Tobel with you. Excited to get into all things Week 0 college football ahead this coming weekend. Also, it's our last time really talking season-wise to hit our preseason thoughts on season win totals and everything. Excited to have Josh Nunn joins us here on the Progressive Guest Line, Action Network college football betting analyst. Does a great job covering all this stuff. Also a big FCS guy, so I'm excited to pick your brain on that. But Josh, welcome in. How are you doing today?
Doing well. Thanks for having me. I'm so excited for the season to get started. Talking season has run very long this year. I placed my first win total bet on March 13th, and so it's been 6 or 7 months of kind of waiting for all this to come to fruition, and I'm ready to go now.
All right, well, let's start with, I want to cover in the Mountain West because there's a couple of interesting teams here. I want to hold off on Hawaii, though, because Stormy mentioned some of these teams transitioning up to this level. North Dakota State, I find a pretty fascinating group. Very dominant, obviously, at the previous level, but they kind of went with the internal promotion, a bunch of freshmen in the recruiting class this year. How do you think that translates to their status as a team that's pretty highly priced in the Mountain West and as a 7-point favorite at Week 0?
I think North Dakota State is much better equipped to translate to the FBS level than their counterpart Sacramento State. The team continuity and culture of success over 15 years at the FCS level is certainly admirable. It's a program that develops the interior on the offensive line and in the defensive trench. But I do think that their defensive line talent is down from prior seasons. I think we saw that a little bit last year. I don't know that we have the game-changing quarterback that they've had in recent seasons. North Dakota State has had this pipeline of great quarterback success. They've developed the quarterback. They've gone on, many of them, to play in the NFL. And North Dakota State is not equipped with an electrifying receiver like they had last year in Bryce Lance, somebody who's going to average 20 yards a catch with double-digit touchdown receptions. I just don't know that we're going to see that this year from North Dakota State. I think it's just going to be a situation where the rigors of a 12-game FBS schedule are eventually going to get to these guys. This win total opened up 9.5 to expect a 10-win season with North Dakota State in their first year at FBS. I thought was a little overzealous. I think the schedule is complicated when you have to go to Air Force, you go to Hawaii, you go to New Mexico, and you also have to go to Vegas. And in the week 0 opener, I kind of think it's even teams with Jacksonville State. Yeah. They have a much more mature FBS roster. Caden Creel's going to be able to add a running dynamic for Jacksonville State in the run game. And the two receivers, Johnson and Johnson, DeAndre Johnson, who's 6'8", 215 pounds, and Romel Johnson out of the slot are really going to create problems for North Dakota State's secondary. I actually grabbed some 7.5 with Jacksonville State. Feels like one of those games where either team is kicking a field goal late at the buzzer to win it.
Yeah, we're very like-minded in that because actually for our college football betting guide here at VSiN, one of the win totals I wrote up was the alt under 8.5 on the Bison here with a lot of the reasons that you just laid out and those tough road trips in conference too. A couple places they have to go to elevation. Year one at this level, while yes, I think they'll transition well, it's a tough road for the way that schedule lays out. Let's keep it rolling though, and I want to continue to give JVT the floor here because you guys are a little bit at odds, not only with a week 0 game that involves your beloved Hawaii Rainbow Warriors, but the season at large. So where do you want to go here?
I'm also one of dozens that actually likes Mountain West football, so that's probably part of it too. So yeah, let's just talk about Hawaii. You know, I like this group. Now, part of it is I'm a big Mike Alejado guy. I know the injury kind of derailed him a bit, but still very productive. So I think he's going to be absolutely fantastic and better in the system with another year under his belt. What are the downsides, though, of Hawaii that I'm not seeing?
Well, there's a couple things. They are weaker along the offensive line, and the durability issues for Alejado are of concern. Hawaii won games last year with such an improved defensive football team at all three levels. They were stout in the trenches. They were very good at the linebacker room. The secondary overperformed at home, and they take a significant step back at all three levels of the defense for Hawaii. So I don't know that they're going to be as tough there. They do lose 3 of their top 4 leading receivers from last season, and the guy coming back, Pefele Ashlak, has been hurt in fall camp. The run and shoot system is so unique. It's such a quirky offensive system, unlike any others that are run in the college leagues. I don't think plugging and playing receivers in that have never operated out of the run and shoot are going to be as fluid as other systems where you can put in another group of receivers and have it kind of work as you would normally expect. The other thing for Hawaii that I found interesting, the schedule toughens up this year. Regularly, Hawaii will play 7 home games. This year, they only play 6. They regularly play an FCS team. In fact, over the last 2 seasons, Hawaii played 3 of them. Well, they don't have an FCS team on the schedule this year. And with 2 Power 4 road trips, North Dakota State comes in off of a bye. They got to go to Wyoming. A trip to Arizona State will be tough. I just felt the schedule was a little bit too tough. And with the defensive deficiencies that we're going to see, to expect 8 wins. So I played under 7.5 on the win total. There's just a few things going against Hawaii this year that I didn't like.
Yeah, and by the way, I should note, too, my love for Hawaii started before the Ashlock injury, which is very big for this team, and we'll see exactly what's going to happen there. So how does that translate to this matchup with Stanford coming up? Because this thing has moved in one direction. Stanford's up to a 5.5-point favorite. Is that still playable?
I think so. There's no team at the FBS level that has a larger dichotomy between home and road performances. Hawaii's just a different team away from the island. I think Stanford is going to be vastly improved in the trenches. They're going to get so much better coaching this year with Tavita Pritchard than they had in prior seasons. They're calling him Coach Luck on the sidelines. Andrew Luck has been plugged in every day during fall camp, whispering in Davis Warren's ear. And I look at a couple of things for Stanford. They have an exquisite tight end room. We're going to see a lot of 12 and 13 personnel. The tight end bodies are huge. And on 3rd and short, 4th and short, goal to go, it's tuna time. Tuna Altier is one of their running backs, 6 feet tall, 237. I just don't know that Hawaii is equipped to be able to stop the short yardage game. It's just one of those situations where I think Stanford will be able to out-physical Hawaii, stay on the field, and I think we'll get a real motivated bunch given how last year's Week 0 opener went, where Stanford was driving inside the 40-yard line to kick a game-winning field goal and completely gave the game away. So I like the bigger team, the more physical team, and I think Stanford's going to get significantly better coaching this year, which will help them with their on-field performance week to week, even if it doesn't necessarily result in the wins piling up.
Yeah, with Hawaii walking it off at the buzzer last year, we'll see if Stanford can get their revenge in Palo Alto. Elsewhere in Week 0, you felt comfortable laying a big number with Florida State against New Mexico State. Why?
Well, this is one that's interesting, and I don't love Florida State this season, although I think this team could be about a touchdown better than last year's version. It's not going to manifest itself in the schedule because the schedule is very daunting. And this is interesting perception with Florida State. After they had defeated Alabama last year and then thrashed Kent State and East Texas A&M, what did everybody say? The Noles were back. It didn't play out that way. There were a couple tough losses on the road for Florida State. But Norvell's coaching for his job here, and this is a situation where he has got to put up a monster number to get the boosters and the fan base excited. The talent disparity in the trenches between Florida State and New Mexico State will be staggering. I'll be stunned if Florida State does not average 6.5, 7 yards per carry on the ground. I think the receivers winning the one-on-one battles with New Mexico State's secondary will be evident. And New Mexico State is equipped with what was last year the worst rushing attack at FBS, 77 yards per game, 2.6 yards per carry on the ground. And I don't think the offensive line, which is being retooled yet again, is going to be able to run the ball effectively enough to sustain drives. So Trey Hedden, the transfer quarterback that comes in from Furman, is going to have to throw the ball on 3rd and 14, 2nd and 7 to get out of those long down and distance situations. I don't think he can do it. He played up several times at Furman against elite FBS competition, and it did not go well at any point. So I don't think they're going to be able to sustain possession of the ball. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a Florida State special teams or defensive touchdown. I don't think Florida State's a great ACC team, but they will look very good on Saturday night, I believe.
Josh, last couple of minutes with you. I'm curious. I want to talk shop for a second because I was listening to you guys on the Bets on Campus podcast, and you guys talk about home field advantage. And one of the things I was curious about is a team like New Mexico, for example, that's been ascending and getting better. How do you adjust for home field advantage for a team like that? Do you assume more people are coming out? How much of home field advantage is attendance? What do you talk about adjusting home field year to year on teams and programs that are ascending that usually weren't in that spot?
I think it's really important for a team like New Mexico, and Jason Eck has done a really good job of getting buy-in with fan support and with his team. Yeah. I did think it was interesting for New Mexico, a team that has been very poor in the Mountain West for some time. 2 years ago, the win total was 1.5. Last year, it was 4.5. They've exceeded expectations, but now with a win total of 8.5, and you're dealing with QB controversy, and now Jack Lane is injured and potentially not ready to go. I just wondered if that was just a hair too high. I like the Lobos. I like Jason Eck. I can't imagine he's going to stick around long-term there. He'll be plucked, like so often is the case in the G6 with coaches. I think New Mexico has an opportunity, if they can win some of the key games in Mountain West League play, which they get at home, to be playing for a conference title. But I did think to expect 9 wins from the Lobos was tough. To answer your question, though, I generally account for a team like that. Most everybody, I'll give about 2.5 points for home field. Could be bumped up to 2.75, 2.85 for an ascending team like New Mexico.
I was very high on New Mexico entering this year, had a lot of optimism, and then the weekly updates at the quarterback position have made me slowly just crumble as a human being. Josh, thank you so much for the time. We appreciate it and look forward to checking in with you more as football season rolls on.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me, guys. We'll catch you at the window.
Yes, Josh Nunn, everybody. Make sure you check out all the work over there at Action Network. And as JVT mentioned, the Big Bets on Campus podcast you can get wherever you get your podcasts. We got to step aside here when we return. So much news still going on in the National Football League. We've got a full slate of Major League Baseball coming up in the evening. We're hitting it all right here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
We're cruising Monday edition of Money Moves. What's wrong, Princess?
Well, nothing, but we are going to be live from Hawaii this week, so I'm very much looking forward to it. That's why nothing is wrong whatsoever. Tell us, what's going down on the island, Stormy?
Gotta shout out Rainbow Authentics, because Rainbow Authentics and VSiN taking the bets to the beach. Our guys, Tim Murray and Matt Humans, headed to Hawaii for a special edition of VSiN Primetime, live from the Sheraton Waikiki Beach Resort on Wednesday at 7 Eastern, plus a beach edition of the College Football Betting Podcast as well this week, breaking down all things Week 0. Don't miss it. VSiN in Paradise, live in Hawaii, Wednesday and Thursday, August 26th and 27th, only right here on VSiN. And we're going to have Tim Murray on the program tomorrow as soon as they get settled in.
Yeah. So I'm okay. I'm just very hungry. I will just say that.
Hangry, one might say. Hangry.
Usually we don't do business on the air, but if our bosses are listening, I have many ideas that, for sponsorships of this show, that if you wanted some reads that we would be totally into. Caffeine of any kind.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you and I both be down with it. We're already, myself personally, probably at about like 500 milligrams consumed today so far. Like we're in, got to wake up, then got to get the workout or whatever it is. So caffeine, 100%. And as I kind of just melted down, but in a very good way to you guys, Applebee's. 100%. You have a former employee, a former, what is it?
Apple Buddy.
A former Apple Buddy. And you have somebody who has consumed the most Applebee's ever on the planet. I love Applebee's, even though I haven't had it in like over a year, and now I want it again. So
yeah, this got brought up because I'm picking up some of the bees.
Some bees.
On my way to visit my mom after work today, and I was talking about how when I used to work at Applebee's, people would come just like not even to get food, get a meal, but specifically just to order a huge thing of the Oriental chicken salad dressing, just to have at their house, which at first we didn't have containers to actually sell it to them. We would fill a giant to-go drink cup with just this vat of Oriental dressing.
I've just Googled the menu. I'm just remembering all sorts of the spinach artichoke. Like spinach artichoke dip is so good.
Oh, yeah, that's very good. Spin dip.
Yeah, very, very good.
Get it out here fast.
Yeah, the Fiesta lime chicken, as I very much enjoy. Yeah, we can go down the list.
I was sad when they took riblets off the menu, but then they brought them back.
And then I will say this. This I don't think is a statement at all. That is, I think, a hot take. I think one of the most underrated French fries out there. The Applebee's French fries.
Wow, look at you. They have good ranch too.
Salt and pepper seasoning that they put on there.
It's hard to get a good ranch out here. Some places really find a way to mess it up, but I'll give the bees some credit.
I would say that.
And honestly, can I just say real quick?
Yeah.
JVT is not lying. I can't tell you how many times there's been an Applebee's commercial that has showed up in this corner TV on the ground where he's just sat there and stared at it.
I mean, going to Applebee's is a win. Unlike.
Let's get some sponsorships. Let's go.
Yeah, it's a very big win every time you want to go out there. Unlike when you go out to an Angels game. Not many wins. A lot of losses, though. I need a couple more wins for the Angels, but not for the reason that I think our audience would believe. Stormy.
Would you take a 4-1 on the Angels to have the worst record in baseball when all is said and done?
No, I would not. You want to know why? Because we are rooting home what our boy Adam Burke put in his article. Mitch was on. It was one of the days you were gone. Mitch came on to close out the show, and we were talking about post-trade deadline. Adam Burke wrote up a great article on some futures post-trade deadline. I figured it's a good time to bring this back up because we're nearing the home stretch. Now, for Stormy, the home stretch is the next 5 days because then the baseball season ends. But it's not going to end in the next 5 days, by the way. We still have pretty much a whole month left to go. The fewest wins in Major League Baseball. I tailed our boy Adam, 45-1 on the San Francisco Giants to have the fewest wins in Major League Baseball. And darn it, we are live, brother. Yes, we are. The Giants have lost 4 straight now. If you look at it by wins, again, because the wording is important. I have fewest wins, not worst record, so that'll matter. But either way, Giants with 52 wins, just 2 games behind of the Colorado Rockies, who have the fewest wins in Major League Baseball. They've lost 6 straight. But you look at the way some of these teams are playing. Angels are playing 500 baseball. The Athletics have won 2 straight. They're not trying to lose these games, Stormy. We are live on this 45-1. We need these Giants to get losing here and continue to lose. If
you did not have the bet, so I don't see a fewest wins market up right now, but worst record is. If you did not have the bet, would you take the 11-1 on the Giants for it still? Because they're still 4th on the board right now. The Rockies are odds on at -125.
I mean, I think so. Look, they have, if you sort by what we're looking at here, and like the strength of schedule is not the end all be all here, but it does give you a sense of how this might go for them. They have, among these teams we're talking about in competition for this, right? And I'm only including the Athletics, the Angels, the Giants, and the Rockies. They have the hardest remaining schedule of these 4. They have the 6th hardest schedule in Major League Baseball, a combined winning percentage of about .519. Now, the Rockies are not that far behind them, and they have a 2-game lead on them at this point at 8th worst or 8th strongest schedule left in Major League Baseball. But I think the Giants are still relatively live to get this done. Absolutely.
We did get a little social media chime in, by the way, from our good friend Roberto Moreno.
Okay.
Listening to Money Moves with Stormy and JVT. Go Team Chili's. This has been our internal debate forever.
But I'm just saying, I'm not debating anything. I think
he's a
Chili's
former
is very
Chili's
good.
employee, though, so we've always been.
I forgot about that.
We've always been butting heads on that one.
They're both very good. Just right now, I'm very hungry, and Applebee's is very good, and I just want to put that out there. But I have not had a good trip dip in a while, and I think that sounds pretty good too.
The Chipotle Honey Chicken Crispers are fire. I will give them that. Let's look at today's slate a little bit. No day games today in Major League Baseball. We've got 10 coming up on the late afternoon, evening set of games here. I did want to talk about the Phillies at least real quickly. Zach Wheeler going today. But
all you, brother.
No, I was just saying the situation from yesterday. Did you see any of the highlights of that 9th inning? Down 4-0 in the bottom of the 9th. Phillies come all the way back to not only win, but they cover the run line. Kyle Schwarber's lone hit of the game is a 2-run shot to end this thing. It was the Phillies' first walk-off homer in 533 games. All 6 of the runs, by the way, that were scored in the 9th came with 2 outs. And I thought this was a fun fact I saw on ESPN Sports and Information Group this morning. Entering the game, MLB teams were 1-762 when trailing by at least 4 runs going into the 9th. It's now their 9th straight win for the Phillies. Can they make it 10 today?
Potentially. I mean, when you have Wheeler on the hill and you're playing the Seattle Mariners, anything is possible. How about those Mariners? You talk about results. How about those Mariners yesterday, huh?
So just when you think that they're getting out of the second half slump, they just get rocked.
Nope. They had one.
Wasn't it like 19-2 or something like that?
It wasn't like 19-2. It was 19-2. An absolute beatdown. And here's the thing for the Mariners. Like, look, we've talked about this. You got mad about it, and we yelled about this earlier. I did. About how bad this team has been. What's been shocking is to see guys like Bryce Miller. Holy smokes. This month has been awful for him. An ERA of 9. He's given up 4+ earned runs in each of these starts. Last 2, he's given up 11 over the course of about 9 1/3 or so. So it's been an absolute nightmare from the pitching standpoint for Miller. Now, he's obviously not going today. He pitched yesterday. But the whole point here being is that no matter what it is, whether it's offense or throwing some of these guys out there, the Mariners just can't really string this together and have some sort of success. So don't know why you would really trust it. Now, the market's moving in their direction a bit. We saw some overnights at $1.23 in favor of Philly. And I guess if there was a guy that was going to come out and cure the ails of this group, it would be Logan Gilbert, who has pitched relatively well. But relatively well is not the same standard as what once was the thought that Gilbert is a dominant pitcher, right? He's given up 3 or plus earned runs pretty frequently here. He's been really average if you go back to about the start of July. So I don't know if maybe this is just kind of a bounce back after a rough performance, but Wheeler at about a -108, looking relatively cheap given what we know about the Mariners and what we know about Gilbert at this point.
How about the Padres and Pirates today? Padres at a pretty reasonable price. Robbie Ray against Braxton Ashcraft. Ashcraft, you would imagine why the line is what it is in this spot. Robbie Ray, so Padres -108, Pirates +101, so a little bit better than even money right now. Padres are playing pretty good baseball, though, down the stretch. They've only lost one true series since July 24th. They've been awesome lately. Do you think they can keep it going? How do you evaluate them
Why
today?
does it sound so desperate in your analysis?
Because you know where I sit on them in the postseason and trying to figure things out, and my excitement being tempered a little bit.
I mean, I think they should be a playoff team. I think the real question is this start and then bigger picture. Is Robbie Ray going to become what you want him to? Now, his last couple of starts, literally the last 2, have been better, right? He's given up 2 earned runs. He gave up 2 earned runs, I should say, against Milwaukee. Gave up 1 against the New York Mets. The problem is with Robbie Ray is the command and the pitch count are getting driven up because old Robbie Ray is showing up here again, right? 4 strikeouts, 3 walks in over 4 innings against the Milwaukee Brewers. Again, same Miller stat line, 4 strikeouts, 3 walks over 6 innings. They're a little bit better against the New York Mets. But the command has been wonky, and if you're going to continue to give up free passes and you're going to continue to give up hard contact, then it's going to look a little bit more like the first start that you had in which you struck out 2, walked 5, and then got blasted by the Houston Astros, who, by the way, I think fired their general manager today. But I think that the positivity is there. I just don't know if I'm at a spot where I can really trust Robbie Ray. Is he going to, again, come out there, walk 3 or more guys, and work his pitch count up? Because I just don't know if I'm at a position there if that's going to be the case, especially when on the other side, Ashcraft is a pretty solid option to go to bat with, even though he's a pitcher, against your Padres, right? Last 2 starts, he's been really solid. In 3 out of his last 4, he's given up 1 earned run exactly. The blemish over that stretch was 4 earned over the course of 5 on the road against Milwaukee. Ashcraft pitched really well. So given Ray's status and what we've seen from him and Ashcraft's recent form, I think it to me would be Pirates or nothing.
I don't know. I was just looking at some of the Padres numbers against righties, and you know that the Padres still, even behind Robbie Ray, have one of the best bullpens in baseball. So I leaned at least Padres, didn't get to anything, but that's the side that I was going toward. But yes, you are right. Astros fired their general manager. 1 game under 500, tied for the lead in the AL West.
But they're kind of flowing a little bit. We'll see. I think the Rangers can still pull that division off.
Does the team that wins the division have a winning record?
Yeah, I think they can eke it out. I think. Yeah, for sure.
Just saying. That's very much in play for that not to be the case.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to think of I'm going to believe. All 5 of them, by the way, that's the last thing I looked up. All 5 teams with a negative run differential in that division.
Not ideal. We'll be right back wrapping up this Monday edition of the program. Lots of college football QB1s named this week.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Monday edition of Money Moves live from downtown Las Vegas Circa Resort and Casino. Stormy and Buonantony, Jonathan Von Tobel with you, holding it down. Remember, if you missed any of the program or if you do any day, Money Moves is always available wherever you get your podcasts. You can listen on your own time. We talked lots of college football today, had SEC all-time passing leader, Georgia quarterback, current ESPN analyst Aaron Murray on the program. Also, Josh Nunn talking through some of his week 0 best bets, some season-long futures, so make sure you check it all out there or on demand, of course, on the VSiN Watch app as well. We have a lot of college football news that has come down over the weekend and even today as well, because with us being like a week out from the true week 1 of college football, right, when you have everybody in action, we're getting all of the announcements of who's going to be the starting quarterback at respective programs. A couple big ones in the SEC coming out yesterday and today that actually have implications on my first couple assignments of the season. Week 1, I'm going to be doing
Alabama, East Carolina.
ECU at Alabama, yes.
I said it first for legal purposes.
Thank you. We got the announcement that Keelan Russell is officially the go-to guy to start things off for week 1. I know, so shocking. And then Faison Brandon going to be the starting quarterback for Tennessee. My week 2 game will be Tennessee at Georgia Tech.
Okay, I couldn't say that one. Oh, that's a good one. You got a good one then.
Yeah.
I'm excited. That's good because Faison Brandon might be my new Devin Dampier. In the sense
really?
I'm like, look, I'm not going to pretend I have seen a lot of him, but he sounds like a really intriguing prospect. He's obviously really highly touted, 5-star kid, getting the job right away.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting story. And as you know, I'm pretty high on this Tennessee team. So I'm really interested. And that could be a game from a win total standpoint. I know this doesn't matter to you because you are a #J journalist when you do these jobs. But that could be like the swing game for a win total for a team like Tennessee if they're going to get over that number. Getting a really tight spot against Georgia Tech, that's going to make a difference for you. So that's cool. That's a good game to get.
Well, and I was curious too because I when I first got the assignment, I was like, is that going to be at a neutral or is it at Georgia Tech? And it is. It's at Bobby Dodd. Yep. So that'll be a fun one for sure. And he specifically 5-star guy, number 3 player in the class. And as far as freshman goes, I think one of your big concerns is always freshman mistakes, and is he going to be somebody that's turnover prone? Only threw an interception once every 98 attempts in high school. So if he can carry that over to an extent at this level, it'd be nice.
Where'd you get that note?
I thought you'd like that.
Yeah, where did you get that
note from? The College Football Betting Guide.
I got that from 247 Sports.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Stole it.
That's how this thing works. No, I went back and watched every single one of his pass attempts, and I did the math.
Like the excitement, though, around him and what he could be as the guy moving forward for the next couple of years as well after what's been kind of rotational musical chairs at quarterback the last few years.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of wild that, as I kind of put in the guide, Heupel's had such a firm floor in terms of record out there at Tennessee, despite the fact that every year he's had a different starter week 1. So this could be the start of something new, as you're talking about, that has some sticking power. But Brandon's really interesting. So that's going to be a ton of fun. That's a good game for you. So good for you. And looking forward to that. It's also, I mean, good for you, too, because that's like one of like the only good games, because these first weeks are always just so you get like the non-conference games against the easy schedules, the scheduled victories. Sorry if I could put it that way. So good for you getting one of the highlights of the week.
The Tennessee is a team I'm really intrigued by, especially with the hire of Jim Knowles as defensive coordinator, because we saw what he did obviously at Ohio State. Penn State doesn't go the way that you have it planned, but if you have a personality match with the head coach, I think that could pay some serious dividends for Tennessee. Like, I'm curious what they're going to be. So not only just from a standpoint of me covering them, but season-long stuff. Any of the other quarterback announcements pique your interest? By the way, if you're not following Pete Thamel, now's the time to start doing it now over at ESPN, because he's kind of the guy that reveals all of this stuff and is the first to know a lot.
Yeah, he had a few more here today that he had tweeted out. I think he just deleted one, actually. So maybe that was a little bit of a hair trigger by him. No, there it is. So Oregon State named Mercer transfer Braden Atkinson, their starting quarterback. So that's going to be the debut for Oregon State. I don't think that's a massive surprise there. Wyoming named Tyler Hughes their starting quarterback. Wyoming, I wrote up the Mountain West, for those who don't know. Hughes comes from William & Mary. They're kind of changing their offense a little bit here, bringing in a former offensive coordinator, William & Mary, who had some time with the Buffalo Bills the last couple of years. So that's going to be a brand new system for Wyoming to break in. Large expectation was that Hughes, who came in from William & Mary himself, was going to win that job. So that'll be an interesting team that I do think has some interesting upside if the offense really does hit. But the other ones, largely all expected, right? KJ Jackson was expected to win the quarterback battle at Arkansas. That has been announced. Dylan Longren is the starter for Rutgers, former Alabama Boston College QB. Max Johnson, who gets another bite at the apple here. North Carolina, Texas A&M, LSU, and now Georgia Southern added to the wall of starting quarterback helmets for Max Johnson. So he wins that job too.
I think one of the other big news items, the Ahmad Hardy news for Missouri.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised by this because we talked about this during SEC Media Days. Wasn't the expectation that he was going to be fine, like ready to go?
Yep.
And he hasn't even practiced yet. I didn't realize that.
They are now looking at a mid-September return, so still early season, but compared to the way that this was talked about and him being available sooner rather than later, it was a surprise, I would say, for a running back duo that could be the best in the country when all is said and done.
Yeah, I mean, this offense looks like it could be. Look, Austin Simmons, who comes in, who, of course, lost out on the job at Ole Miss because, he got Wally pipped out there. There's some upside. As I wrote about in the guide, he's got to cut down on the turnover-worthy plays. Like, he has a penchant for putting the ball in danger. So you cut those down, then you're going to be, I think, okay. Well, how do you do that? Maybe take the ball out of his hands a little bit more. You run the ball. And I thought this was going to be a really, really good duo to potentially do just that. But if Hardy's not going to be available, that's tough, especially at the beginning of the year. The schedule's not too daunting, right? Arkansas, Pine Bluff, Kansas, Troy. But I think, I don't know how you feel or how much you've gotten into it, but at Mississippi State, September 26th, if he's not ready to go, that's going to be a tricky spot. I know that hasn't gone the best for Levy out there, but they seem to be improved, and I think they're going to be a tough out when they play some of these kind of coin flip-ish spots. I don't know if it's going to be a coin flip spread. We'll see if that is, but I think the Bulldogs might surprise some folks at home. And if you're not at full strength, then that one might be a little bit of a sneaky spot for you to go out there and slip up on the road.
And Starkville, one of the more ruckus, crazy environments at home. Well, I saw one of those teams that might have overlooked them a little bit in ASU last year on the field. And so, yeah, I think that's a program in general that is on the up and up.
Or that game. Who was the quarterback for
Sam Levitt?
Arizona State? Interesting. But he performed.
Are you trying to go down the LSU road here?
I mean, I'm just saying, I'm just saying, Levitt performed really well in that game, right? He was awesome. He's flawless in that contest against SEC talent. Or did he go 10-22 for just 82 yards, one touchdown, 2 interceptions? And maybe the assumption that LSU is just going to be perfectly fine with Levitt is perhaps a little too strong. By the way, they got a bunch of bodies in the portal, too.
I was going to say, you want to read some more?
No, really quick. So they got the tight end, right, from Cleveland that we were expected. Yep. I love that I put the notes, Cleveland NFL. You have to do that now. And then I didn't realize this is a couple of days owed, but you don't want to say the last name, do you? Is that what's happening here? Tui Halimaka. Junior Tuli Halimaka, the former defensive end from Notre Dame, also got in there the other day.
Last couple minutes here. Let's grade the bets that we had going into the weekend. I had a loser in Major League Baseball. Phillies run line didn't come through. They did end up winning in extras, but obviously don't get it done. Phillies did go on to sweep the series, and as I mentioned in the last segment about what they were able to do yesterday with the walk-off, ended up cashing the run line in each of the 2 games that I did not bet, because of course they did. But 9 straight for them, but could not cash my -120 ticket. That was all I had. You, meanwhile, cashed on Green Bay in the preseason.
Yes, didn't even have to sweat it. The only thing that I was sweating was the heat outside at Stadium Swim while Mitch Moss tried at every point to go home because he was being a fuddy-duddy.
Did he try to fight anybody?
No, he did not. Not this time around, no. But the only thing he was fighting was fun that night.
That was funny, though, when we were leaving the studio that day. It's like, Mitch, why do you always try to fight people when you have a couple beverages? Because I don't know, it's just my thing.
I don't know if we told the story on the air, but he did try to fight your husband in Omaha on a late night, and he and I may or may not have wrestled in the parking lot of the Orleans Arena many years ago. You were surprised when I said how long I've known Mitch for.
Well, yeah. Since you were 22, you said?
Like 22, right? 23. It's when I started producing radio locally. I mean, sorry, was being a barista the whole time and never doing anything.
That blew my mind. Truly, I had no idea your relationship went back that far.
Yeah, I started as an intern local radio, about 21 or so, 22? I think 22. So, yeah.
Okay.
One of my most hated memories.
What?
Is when I walked in and I called him Mr. Moss.
Does he bring that up? Is that something?
No, I don't think he remembers.
You know what? I need to text him and say that he needs to bring that up on Pod of the Futures.
Yeah, I don't think he remembers at all. Yeah, you're an intern, you're scared, doing all that kind of stuff.
Oh,
now, if I go back,
Mr. Moss.
don't you ever call him that
Mr. Moss, so nice to meet you.
He's not worthy of that respect.
What can I do for you, Mr. Moss? Do you need coffee? Because I am a former barista.
So we did, yes, we did. But there was a time in which they did tell me, Mitch tried to get me to go get him coffee when I was an intern, and I did say no. I was like, I'm not here for that.
What?
I'm not doing that.
Respect your elders, man.
Yep.
It's actually pretty rough. I told you to follow Pete Thamel. You know who else you should be following, though, this college football season, in every college football season? Brett McMurphy. Speaking of Mitch Moss, he and Pauly are going to have Brett on the program today, giving out some of his favorite plays for week 0. Then later on in the evening, of course, you got the usual suspects, Matt Humans and Tim Murray, taking over VSiN primetime. They are hitting the road. They're going to be out there in Hawaii all week long. We will have Tim on the program tomorrow as well to get some of his favorite plays at practice. Yeah, live on the island.
Want his eyes on Pofele Ashlock to see what's going on. Maybe see if he can, just touch the knee, see what's going on.
Well, I mean, he and Timmy Chang are boys.
That's right.
So, can we get some intel?
If there was anybody that's not on the team that could physically touch Pofele Ashlock's knee, it might be Tim.
On that note, have a lovely day, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow, same time, same place. Follow the money coming up after this quick timeout.